For most of human history, nobody had a refrigerator. And yet, families kept vegetables crisp, eggs fresh, and food safe to eat through entire winters. My grandparents knew exactly how because they grew up doing it. These methods aren't lost to time. They still work today in any home, and they'll keep your food fresh when the power's out, or simply save you money and waste. I'm going to show you the best of them, why each one works, and, because this is food and safety matters most, the honest limits of every single one. First, understand what makes food go bad, because every one of these methods is just a way of slowing that down. Food spoils because of warmth, moisture, air, and light, feeding the bacteria and mold that break it down. A refrigerator fights that with cold, around the clock, using electricity. Our grandparents fought the same enemies in clever ways that needed no power at all. They controlled the temperature, the moisture, and the air, using nothing but their house and a few simple materials. Let me show you the methods, starting with the simplest. The first is the root cellar, and you don't need to dig one. The ground a few feet down stays cool and steady all year, cooler than your house in summer and above freezing in winter. Our grandparents used that free, stable coolness to store root vegetables, potatoes, carrots, beets, turnips, onions, apples, cabbages, for months. You can recreate it with the coolest, darkest corner of a basement, an unheated garage, or even a bucket buried in the ground with a lid. Potatoes packed in a box of sand or straw, somewhere cool and dark, will keep for months without a single watt of power. The cool holds back the spoiling. The sand holds in the moisture so they don't shrivel. The dark stops them sprouting. The second, keeping eggs fresh for months. This one surprises people. A fresh egg, straight from a hen, comes with a natural protective coating called the bloom that seals it. Our grandparents preserved eggs for the winter by sealing them further, the old method called water glassing, submerging clean, fresh, unwashed eggs in a solution that seals out air and bacteria, kept somewhere cool. Sealed that way, eggs stayed good for many months. The principle is simple. Seal out the air and the bacteria, keep it cool, and the egg keeps. The third, the old root vegetables and hardy produce simply stored cool and dry. Winter squashes and pumpkins keep for months on a shelf in a cool room. No processing at all, just the right spot. Onions and garlic, cured and hung in a dry, airy place, last and last. Apples, wrapped individually in paper, in a cool box, keep for months. And the old wisdom of one bad apple spoils the bunch is literally true, which is why you wrap them separately. Much of preservation was simply knowing which foods last on their own and giving them the cool, dark, dry conditions to do it. Let me show you the difference. Here are potatoes stored two ways. One batch in a warm, bright kitchen. One batch packed in sand in a cool, dark corner. Weeks later, look at them side by side. The kitchen potatoes have sprouted, gone soft, started to green. The ones in the cool sand are still firm, still good. Same potatoes, same start. The only difference is that one batch was given the old conditions, and one was left in the modern warmth. Now a few more methods in the same spirit. But first, the single idea that ties all of this together, the thing my grandparents understood in their bones.
Every food has a place where it wants to be kept.
We've been trained to do one thing with everything. Put it all in the cold box. But that's actually wrong for a great many foods. Potatoes kept in the fridge turn sweet and gritty as the cold converts their starch to sugar. They want cool and dark, not cold. Onions and garlic rot in the damp of a refrigerator. They want dry and airy. Tomatoes go mealy and flavorless in the cold. They want room temperature. Winter squash wants a cool shelf, not a fridge at all. Our grandparents didn't have one box for everything, so they learned what each food actually wanted. This one cool and damp. That one cool and dry. This one just cool and dark. And they had a place for each. Half of preservation isn't a technique at all. It's simply knowing where each food wants to live and stopping yourself from putting it all in the same cold drawer out of habit. First, a cool larder or pantry. A north-facing room, a cool closet, a shaded cellar shelf. Our grandparents kept butter, cured meats, hard cheeses, and preserves in a cool larder long before refrigeration. Many foods simply don't need to be as cold as a fridge. They just need cool, stable, and dark. Second, the evaporative cooler, or Zier pot. A clay pot set inside a larger clay pot with wet sand packed between them stays markedly cooler than the room as the water evaporates. Enough to keep vegetables crisp for far longer in a hot climate with no power at all. An ancient idea that still works in any dry heat. Third, keeping things dry. Dried beans, grains, flour, and dried fruit, kept in sealed containers somewhere cool and dry, last for a very long time. The moisture is what spoils them, so seal it out and they keep for the long haul. Now I'm going to be especially careful and honest here, because this is food. These methods are proven and they work, but every one of them has rules, and food safety is not something to guess at. Root cellaring works for hardy vegetables and fruits, not for meat or dairy left out. Preserving eggs requires genuinely fresh, clean, unwashed eggs and the proper method, not supermarket eggs that have already been washed and refrigerated. And the firm rule that protects you: when in doubt, throw it out. If something smells wrong, looks wrong, feels slimy, or shows any mold where it shouldn't, you do not eat it. No method makes spoiled food safe. These techniques slow spoilage under the right conditions. They don't perform miracles. Learn the specific rules for each food. Follow them properly. Trust your senses, and these methods serve you safely, exactly as they served generations before us. So why did we forget how to do this? The refrigerator was a genuine marvel, and it made all of this feel unnecessary overnight. But that knowledge is the difference between helplessness and self-reliance when the power goes out, and even in normal times it cuts your grocery waste and your bills. Our grandparents didn't keep food without a fridge because they were poor or backward. They did it because they understood their food and their house, and that understanding is worth having again. The full collection of these old methods, with every detail and every safety rule laid out, is linked below. This has been the Thrift Almanac, and I'm glad you're here, because this kind of knowledge was never meant to be lost. Subscribe, and I'll keep digging up the old ways, one at a time. Take care of yourselves.